I know I haven't had much for you lately. I've been busy, and I treated myself to a hike yesterday, and before that I crapped out that Shaquille O'Neal one. It took me about 5 minutes, so I just did it really quick, but maybe maybe we were all better off without it. A buddy and I headed up to Tahoe yesterday, took the dogs for a hike. He's a big Patrick Mahomes fan, and he started talking about quarterbacks and the GOAT debate and Tom Brady. And he acknowledges, or even though he likes Mahomes, sees Brady as the GOAT. And he asked me who I think is the GOAT, Brady or Montana. I said, honestly, I would need to be able to go back in time and watch Montana to get an appreciation for what the moment was like, to see if he as a person was rising above adversity and just making things happen when they needed to happen. Because the stats alone aren't enough. In the same way, most people will acknowledge that Emmitt Smith has the stats, but it's not a better running back than Barry Sanders or Jim Brown. And I was taking a day off from basketball. I wasn't worrying about it, thinking about it, editing. So it was a complete coincidence to find out that LeBron was sitting out the Timberwolves game. But it couldn't have been any more perfect in proving my point, because LeBron doesn't demonstrate that he's a necessity to the team. In fact, I would say I've shown quite a bit of evidence to quite the contrary. But my point is that if he was a necessity, if they actually needed him in order to win, he should be playing. That's the mentality that us old heads like. That's what makes us choose those types of players. Warriors, people who were willing to go to battle even when it didn't feel good, because you knew that the rest of the troops needed you. I don't get the sense LeBron James gives the slightest fuck what his team needs. It is all about what he wants. I think this is accented by the fact that it was the Timberwolves that he chose to sit out against. The greatest adversity. If he was, in fact, the best player on the Lakers and gave a shit about the team, he should absolutely have played against the Timberwolves and sat some of the other games that he chose to play. If this happened once, if it was a rare occurrence, I would have to let it go. But it's not a rare occurrence. In fact, we saw it so many times last season, it was laughable. It just so happened that LeBron would have an injury out of nowhere when they were about to face a good team. That is just the most cowardly thing I can imagine, next to all the other cowardly things that LeBron James does. When people are anticipating it, when people are saying, oh, he's probably going to sit out this upcoming game, and it comes true, then you know that it's happening too often. I don't care how many excuses you fanboys provide for LeBron. I don't care how devoted you are to believing in the fake injuries. When it's this often, you need to wake up. There's a sign. But the script and the delusion that script provides causes people not to think about this clearly. Instead, you see headlines that say how Austin Reeves gained LeBron's trust, or what the team needs to do to gain LeBron's trust. If you're paying attention to the game, LeBron needs to be earning their trust, because LeBron is the one who blows the game winner more often than anyone else. Yes, I know you're saying, well, he's taking the game winner, so of course. But this is just my point. He doesn't deserve to be taking the game-winning shots. One of the other channels today was talking about, oh yeah, it's that time of year. We're going to have to see what big moves the Lakers are going to do to help LeBron. And you know it's coming every year. You can't ever expect the storyline to be, well, they're just going to power through, and LeBron James's actual gameplay is what's going to get them through. No, it's always, hey, Who else can we get to cover up the sham that is LeBron James? It's bad enough that they've got the referees. So the mad scramble to get more stars, more help for LeBron, rather than looking at getting rid of LeBron, which won't happen. It's just, if the Lakers did that, it's not allowed in the script. It would be very damaging to his career. As much as I have fantasized in the past and said that the Lakers need to trade LeBron, we all know that it won't happen. But this is exactly why I'm saying LeBron is the one who needs to earn the trust of others. He's the common denominator of all of these situations that don't work out. And yet other people always have to prove themselves to him. The coaches, the GM, the new recruits. Chapter 2 of this podcast is the game selection. Tournament or no tournament, you should be choosing the games that are going to help your team's record for the actual playoffs. Most of you listening already know what Kobe's feelings were about raising choking banners, the disrespect to the real banners. So just keep that in mind when you try to justify that LeBron played all 7 games of the in-season tournament against lowly competition. That's not just trash talk. That's not just name calling. It was lowly competition. These were not good teams, and they did not have good records, and they even played worse than normal against the Lakers. I mean, it was a laugh to look at. It really made you wonder what the hell was happening. And most of these weren't even close. They weren't even close early on. LeBron didn't need to be in there. Let's go to fantasy land and pretend that LeBron is as good as he's supposed to be, that he is in fact the vital piece to the team. Well, in these games against lowly competition, you wait and put him in if it looks like you're going to need him. You bring him out like a secret weapon, and you have enough confidence in him to know that even if you wait until the 4th, as long as you bring LeBron in, he'll make sure the team wins. Remember, these were not good teams they were playing. You can afford to wait and see if you need your secret weapon later. Which, of course, would have hurt LeBron's legacy because it would have been very clear that they didn't need him to beat those teams. And they wouldn't have been able to give him that bullshit MVP trophy. You know what? If LeBron was a true GOAT, a true warrior, he would have said, fuck the in-season tournament MVP. I'm going to do what my team needs for the long run. And if supposedly playing was going to lead to an injury, then he shouldn't have played in the in-season tournament. It's not a meaningful title. If you're willing to, you want to pat yourself on the back for playing against the Blazers, the Ja Morantless Grizzlies, the freaking Jazz, the Pelicans, but then choose to sit out against the best team in the West? I mean, he played against the terrible, terrible, terrible Spurs, and as I already mentioned, it's probably the reason that the Spurs managed to beat the Lakers. He shouldn't have played that game. If you actually need to rest, which I think is pathetic enough when you look at true inspirations like Jordan, who just would play through the pain and show up every night to do what needed to be done, with that argument in mind, LeBron should play every game. Except I got to keep taking all these little side streets in the topic because the reality is the Lakers are better without him. So when I say he needs to play for them, I'm talking about in a hypothetical situation that he is in fact as important to the team as LeMedia tells you that he is. Don't take nights off. We have to hear about your $1 million body investment constantly. Well, show us. But the real point I'm getting at is if, in fact, you're going to need to rest your body, well, you rest your body against the freaking Spurs, not against the Timberwolves, you pussy. Let's see, who else did LeBron choose to play against? The 12-win Bulls team, which became a 13-win Bulls team. Thanks to LeBron playing. I think LeBron should have sat out. You guys know that I keep a stat how many times the Lakers lose when LeBron is the highest scorer on the team. But someone pointed out might be even better to show who took the most shots. Well, that's almost always LeBron. That one's too easy. But in this case, it was. Indeed, it was LeBron. He was the highest scorer, and he took the most shots. Guess what? That equals a great big L in a game he shouldn't have even been playing in if you were concerned about whether or not he'd be available to face the Timberwolves. God, James had 5 turnovers too. Most shot attempts, most turnovers. That is not a particularly good asset. And against the Knicks, once again, he took the most field goals, and they lost. Now, for those of you who are pointing out that they lost to the Timberwolves, well, Timberwolves are looking pretty darn good. I would argue that it probably wouldn't have even been as close as it was if LeBron had played. You know, just because I point out that the Lakers are worse when LeBron plays doesn't mean that they instantly are the best team in the entire league when he sits. From the highlights I watched, Anthony Davis looked like he was still battling down there against all of the Timberwolves' height. Wasn't like he was terrible or something. 31 points on 55% shooting. Although, without even looking, I'm sure the media's blaming him and ripping him apart. Anyway, maybe instead of blaming AD, LeBron should be the man. Just once. Maybe even show up to the tough game and do something other than eat popcorn.